As we saw this weekend, the NFL draft is a very tough place. We saw it with Shedeur Sanders. We saw it with Quinn Ewers. Both of them went significantly lower than people thought that they were going to go. But here are the top 10 players who did not get drafted at all. They did not hear their name called, but were absolute college studs. First name on the list, San Jose State wide receiver Nick Nash, who went undrafted and signed with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you might not know who Nick Nash is, but I'll tell you. He led all FBS wide receivers with 104 catches for 1,382 yards, and the man had 16 touchdowns. Now, the irony is that the complaint on him was the exact same as Teteroa McMillan, the same dude that went top 10. They said he only feasted on lesser competition. Wide receivers can't control everything about when the ball comes their way, but this converted quarterback flashed some serious talent all year long, and it would not be a surprise to see him make the Falcons' final roster. Next up, Kansas DB Cobee Bryant. Not that Cobee Bryant, this Cobee Bryant. And he also went to the Falcons as an undrafted free agent. Cobee Bryant was the first player in program history at Kansas to be named first team All Big 12 3 straight years. Now, some mock drafts had him early as a day 2 pick, that's rounds 2 and 3. Now, most 7-round mock drafts had him getting picked at some point in time. So why didn't he? Because he only allowed 2 touchdown passes last year, and he had a long career in Lawrence of creating turnovers. Now, it could be because he didn't test on anything but the 40 at the combine, and at 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, a 4.51 wasn't going to cut it. But he can play the nickel position at the NFL level, and the Falcons are smart for getting him in the building, because this could be one of them dudes that turns into a special player. Hold on. It is time. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and most importantly, share and get notifications about the Unafraid Show. All right, back to the list. This next guy is a national champion, Ohio State offensive lineman Seth McLaughlin. Now, he went undrafted as a free agent to the Bengals. Now, McLaughlin started 34 games across his college football career at Alabama and Ohio State, won the Remington Trophy last year as college football's top center. But a torn Achilles and a rough performance in Nick Saban's last game at Alabama created enough doubts to keep teams from taking a risk on a player who probably won't be ready for the start of next season. Now, the Bengals are smart to get his rights, and it wouldn't be a shock if this gives him the production of a mid-round pick next year, because he won't be available probably this year, or at least until the middle, but next year, though, could be a starting player for the Bengals. Arkansas wide receiver Andrew Armstrong went as an undrafted free agent to the Miami Dolphins. Now, Armstrong caught 78 passes for 1,140 yards, leading both the SEC last year, and he did it in only 11 games. NFL talent evaluators, they don't seem to like anything about this kid. They said he has bad feet, that he can't separate, and they weren't impressed with his 4.5 140 time. But Armstrong is 6'4", long arms, reliable hands, and is somebody who started his college career at Texas A&M Commerce. He has rapidly improved, and he's proved that he more than belongs after being misjudged by college football recruiters. And maybe that same thing will happen at the next level as well. I am very interested to see what Notre Dame defensive tackle Howard Cross III does with the Bengals, because Howard Cross had an ankle injury at the end of last season, and that likely kept him from being drafted. But luckily for Cross and the Bengals, that former Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden took the job in Cincinnati this offseason. So he knows exactly what he is going to get with the Bengals signing this kid. Now, Cross was never going to wow NFL scouts at 6'1", 283 pounds, but there is a reason why a guy that size drew double teams all of last year, because he's an absolute dog. One of my favorite undrafted players is Florida wide receiver Elijhah Badger, who signed as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs have a long history of hitting on late round picks and guys like this, because the 6'1", 200-pound receiver with 181 career receptions for 2,446 yards and 14 touchdowns. Dude averaged 20 yards a catch last season. He ran 4.43 in the 40 while posting a 35.5-inch vertical. So what's there not to like? Because forget not drafting him. How the hell do you let this man sign with the Chiefs? Okay, sure. Attention to detail might be a little bit of an issue for Badger, but this is the one organization that might be able to get Badger to lock in and become a solid NFL starter because the talent is there. Kansas wide receiver Luke Grimm went undrafted and then signed with the LA Chargers. Now, the kid caught 51 passes for 690 yards last year with 6 touchdowns. He spent his college career practicing against Mello Dotson and Cobee Bryant, which will only have Grimm even more prepared to compete for a roster spot in LA. See, now Jim Harbaugh, he definitely is not afraid to throw a white guy wide receiver out there to see what he can do. Now, Grimm, he's not big. He's only 180 pounds. So that might have scared some teams off. But his college career is full of big plays, and he might just make a few as well on the next level in the NFL. Georgia, by the way, of Stanford tight end Ben Yurosek, he signed as an undrafted free agent with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, after his second and third seasons at Stanford and Palo Alto, I did expect Yurosek to be a second or third day pick in the draft when he eventually came out, because after his second and third seasons in Palo Alto, it looked all but assured. But after he spent most of 2023 injured and his decision to transfer to Georgia in his final season, that actually backfired because his production fell to just 15 catches for 185 yards. But he is big, he is physical, and he's tough, and he can block a little bit. But most importantly, he has great hands. This is one of those ones where the production you can't even math how this kid didn't get drafted. And that is Miami wide receiver Xavier Restrepo, who signed as an undrafted free agent with the Titans. How in the hell do you let the University of Miami's all-time leading receiver go undrafted? Moreover, how do you let him get reunited with his quarterback Cam Ward in Tennessee? Now, it might be time to put my conspiracy theorist hat on, because Restrepo reportedly ran a 4.83 40 at his pro day, which he later said was due to a tight hamstring. But I don't even know why you ran it. If you were even going to run a 4.6, they would have assumed you ran a 4.6. But if you have eyes and you watch film, you know Restrepo is a dog out on the field. He led the entire NCAA in percentage of receptions going for a first down or touchdown last year at 76.8%. That was just ahead of Isaiah Bond, who also went undrafted, but for very different reasons. And last up, that man we just mentioned, Isaiah Bond, wide receiver from Texas. Now, an April arrest for SA allegations, it might have taken him off a team's boards, but close scrutiny is required. But Bond, the dude has rare separation, he has speed, and even though he fell well short of his vow to beat the 40-yard dash set by Xavier Worthy last year, the dude is still a baller. Now, regardless of whether teams are going to want him on their field or not is a different question. This is why choices, decisions, consequences, got to be careful out here. And that's the list of the top 10 undrafted players after the NFL Draft 2025. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show.